Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Keller.
Welcome in on a Monday. We are live at London's. It is The Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck. Ken Keller, Scott Shasteen, ready for another hour of scintillating sports talk. You know, last week we came in here and, gosh, it had just been a winning weekend. All our teams had won. It was like, man, it doesn't get any better than this. Everybody won. And except for Alabama, who always wins. And I guess you had a winning weekend, right? Your Cowboys won. The Tide won. I did not have a winning weekend, Mr. Keller. The Cats, the Vols, the Titans, all down to defeat.
Man, last straw. Had the Lakers do. just inquiring.
You know, I was so bummed out, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Don't even know.
I've had them weekends too, man.
London's on Monday night is the place to be. We've got a great crowd down here tonight. Steak night. Big table just right to our left. Everybody's got fillets. Looks fantastic. The best burgers in town, voted on by Tullahoma for 4 years in a row. The coldest beer. It's all at London's. Open 365 days a year. They never close.
That's unreal.
Well, they do close, but they're open every day. They're certainly open tonight. It's you know, it's a little misty out. Not too bad, though. Not too cold. Come on down. Have a nice meal at London's. Ken?
And watch the biggest Monday Night Football game of the season now.
Man.
Kansas City Chiefs and LA Rams.
Yeah, TVs everywhere. The Chiefs and the Rams, both teams with one loss. It's like the fifth time in history two teams with one loss have met this late in the year, so it's a huge game. TVs everywhere. Come on down to London's. We open the show tonight with breaking baseball news. Mr. Keller, our resident baseball expert, what do we know?
Well, I got off work about 5 o'clock. My phone starts blowing up, informing me that Justice Sheffield, ex-Tullahoma great and New York Yankee, is now a Seattle Mariner.
Yeah, so Justice Sheffield traded to Seattle, the Yankees' number one prospect, I believe.
Yes, and you know, he had a really good season. Got caught up at the end, you know, before the playoffs began, and you know, I tried to find out some intel on this guy that they got in return. A guy by the name of James Paxton. I believe he is a big left-handed pitcher. He's a number 2 to 3 starter, according to my New York buddy Brian, a friend of this show, and he's around the complete games, one of the top guys in the majors for complete games. I think he went like 12-6 last year. So that's who the Yankees go after and target. And, you know, now Justice gets to go on the West Coast kind of, I guess, with his brother.
Yeah, and, you know, I wonder what that means for Justice and his career. You would think going to Seattle, they're not the Yankees. No. Could give him a better chance to be in that rotation next year.
Yeah, I think so, and I think he can have success with the Mariners. You know, just like he could any other team. So, you know, it's you know, just a new start. He's still in, you know, a major league player along with his brother, man. So. I know that it would be cool if they were both like in the same leagues playing each other, but you know, Seattle will play the Dodgers. So still a possibility of them matching up against each other at some point down the road.
Yeah, they'll have some crossover, and you know, we hope that Jordan and Justice both can be in the big leagues next year. The Mariners, they're not a bad team. They finished last year 89-73. That's actually
pretty good,
a pretty good record. They were in that tough American League West where the Astros won it and the Athletics almost won 100 games. The Mariners right there in a solid third place. So that's not a bad team that Justice is going
And actually his third team, you know, he was originally drafted by the Cleveland Indians. So Cleveland Indians, New York Yankees, and now Seattle Mariners. Third time's a charm.
Well, it's a business, and that's just part of the business. And again, you know, we hope Justice and Jordan able to make it to the major league level next year. Be awesome to see those guys square off on the mound one day against each other.
It sure would.
High school football. We are to the semifinals of the state football playoffs, and the Tullahoma Wildcats aren't there. Tullahoma drops Friday night's game to Maplewood 6-2 at Maplewood High School. Gosh, I don't know where to start. I mean, such a game that Tullahoma could have won. Maybe not shoulda, maybe not woulda, but they coulda. They could have stole it, is the way we were sort of looking at it there in the fourth quarter. Tullahoma's without, at the time, we were talking about it, without Ben Fulton, without Bryson Korn, without Kobe Burks, without Hunter Palmer. They're playing without all those guys, and they're down 6-2. Tullahoma's just one Maplewood mistake away from possibly taking the lead. I think if they take the lead, they win the game. You can never truly say those things because you don't know what Maplewood, how they would have responded to Tullahoma taking the lead, but the Wildcat offense could just generate basically nothing. They weren't going to score a touchdown on that Maplewood defense, but we felt defensively, if Tullahoma could just get that critical turnover, like Missouri did on Saturday, if Tullahoma could just get a critical turnover and a return, block a punt, interception, a fumble, something. But Ken, credit's got to go to the Maplewood Panthers. They didn't make that critical mistake.
Yeah, and Tullahoma actually outgained Maplewood in yardage in this game, and we really looked at three keys to success for Tullahoma in this game. The first one was to limit quarterback Bobo Hodges' creativity. They did a spectacular job on that. Tullahoma held him to 61 yards passing, 1 interception, no touchdowns, minimal yards on the ground. I think he was in the 20s on rushing yards, maybe 27 yards. So held him under 100 total yards. Check that off. Mission accomplished. The second one, make it a 4-quarter game. 6-2. Tullahoma actually in the third quarter, after a very nice Jacoby Thomas punt return, had the ball a 1st and 15 in the third quarter from Maplewood's 15-yard line, or 1st and 10 from Maplewood's 15-yard line. To me, I thought that was the key series of the entire game. But the number one point we had that we talked about pregame was really that Tullahoma's quarterback, Ben Fulton, facing this fierce pass rush for the Maplewood Panthers, had to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Slant patterns, bubble screens, draw plays. It seemed like when he dropped back, he was running for his life. These 5 and 7 step drops out in the shotgun, taking these drops, and no separation by the receivers, just too long holding the ball, and it did not pan well out. Only 3 completions on the night for Ben Fulton. Actually had Kyler Parker play a little bit of quarterback, introduce a new wrinkle with this Wildcat, running the Wildcat. He had success early in the game, but eventually, these Maplewood monsters took over on the defensive front. As good as they were, as good as Maplewood was, and you can call them the monsters of the Midway, whatever you want to, a very, very good high school defense, a very good one that could give Greenville some problems defensively. They tackle well in space. They're sudden hitters. They're thumpers. They take you down to the ground with one guy. But Tullahoma's defense may have even played better than Maplewood's in that game, Scott.
Man, I tell you what, I'm sure.
As it is to say
I don't know if number-wise there's been a better Tullahoma defense. I'd have to go through and figure up scores for 100 years. Mm-hmm. But that defense, you look at points per game, and it just kept consistently every week 10, 13, 14, 7, 6, just points per game, unbelievable. But 4 turnovers in the first half, that just kept breaking the momentum that Tullahoma would try to generate. And that's a backbreaker. Of course, Ben Fulton went out with an injury with 8.5 minutes left to go in the first half, and didn't come back in until about 9 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. But you mentioned that 1st and 10 Tullahoma had at the 15-yard line of Maplewood. Penalties have been a killer for the Wildcats in the second half of the season, and I thought taking a delay of game penalty right there just immediately set that tone. I mean, you're behind the sticks. Obviously, you got first and 15. Tullahoma tried a field goal right there, didn't make it, and then turned right around and got the safety. And I thought that was the critical time in the game. Tullahoma got the safety, closed the margin to 6-2, and then got the free kick, had the ball in their own 43-yard line. And look, Tullahoma coaching staff did a great job with this team all year. I don't think anybody at the beginning of the year, in fact, I know nobody at the beginning of the year predicted Tullahoma to make it to the third round of the playoffs, so they certainly overachieved. But right there, I'm tell it like it is. Call attention to the fact that right there, when they got that safety and they got that free kick and they had the ball at their own 43-yard line with 30 seconds left to go in the third quarter, Tullahoma ran the ball 3 straight times, lost 9 yards. All 3 plays were tackles for losses. Ran it 3 straight times and punted that ball away. And I think that really gave Maplewood a lot of momentum. The next time Tullahoma got the ball, they started at their 20 on the first play. Ben Fulton came back in the game and ran for 14 yards. But Tullahoma got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, a 15-yard penalty. It wiped off that run. Yep. 2 plays later, they got an illegal procedure. 2 plays later, they got a delay of game. I mean, it was just the Wildcats had every opportunity to win it. They couldn't get that done. But what a tremendous season for the Tullahoma Wildcats. They finished 10-3. They finished second in Region 4-4A. Just a great group of seniors. How far they came from losing every game they played the first 2 years they played to finishing 10-3 and advancing to the third round. It's just a tremendous accomplishment. 30 years of calling Tullahoma football, one of the funnest seasons I've had.
Well, this is my second year. Last year entirely different than this year. High scoring shootouts last year, 5-5 season last year. 49-42 type games, and they end the season this year 6-2. Really, and they're playing without a full deck. They missed, several of their aces. Hunter Palmer, you look up and you see how he came on throughout the season. Number 6, had the flu, missed the game, was at home, could not make the trip. Bryson Korn, limited, hobbling around, trying to make a go of it, come in getting a few nice carries in that game. Kobe Burks, you could just see him on the sidelines like a cat pacing back and forth, knowing, I think I commented during the game, man, how bad you could tell that he wanted to be out there, but his foot would just not allow him to be there. And then Ben Fulton gets rudely thrown into the chain link fence. We thought he was really injured bad, that his basketball upcoming season would be in jeopardy. And lo and behold, if he doesn't come back into the game to give Tullahoma, hope there at the end, and then makes that one big run, and then your little momentum after the safety and the initial first down on that big run out close to midfield, and then you have a personal foul penalty right there that just nullifies that. And here we are going backwards again. But a wonderful season. 10-3 is nothing to hang your head about. You lost 2 games to Maplewood, a team that held us to 8 points in 8 quarters. But you know what? They only scored 20 themselves, and that's a high-powered offense. So I think that's a great testament to Tullahoma football, and an 8-game winning streak. So, a 10-win season, first time that had been done in years. We saw, winning football played. It was exciting football. I appreciated the defense. The special teams played really good this year. The offense made lots of big plays. They didn't turn it over a lot. Really, the biggest bugaboo this year was self-inflicted wounds. Penalties, few turnovers, but we were on our share, and we created 27 turnovers on the season. So, and I can't ever remember a secondary, Scott, that produced so many interceptions ever. And I've watched them for many, many years. Probably 30-plus years too. I can't ever remember a secondary that had 27 or 17 interceptions in one season.
Yeah, other than that last game, I think there was one game during the season where maybe we had 4 turnovers. You never felt like turnovers were a big problem hindsight's easy. It's easy to come back after a game and say, well, I wonder why we didn't this, and I wonder why we didn't that. And we don't do a lot of that on the high school level, but it's fair. I think it's fair in this talk show setting to wonder. I wonder why we didn't get the ball in Jacoby Thomas's hands more without Bryson Korn being effective really out there, and without Kobe Burks, and without Hunter Palmer. I think the other really tremendous athlete that we have is Jacoby Thomas. I wonder why we didn't get the ball in his hands more. He spent a lot of time running routes when we weren't throwing it much. And, I wonder why Samari Lane didn't get some time in the backfield. He had shown the week before that he could provide some explosion from that running back position. So that was just a couple of things that we talked about on the way home, just sort of wondering why those things didn't happen. They are what they are. Great season. We closed the book on the Tullahoma Wildcats football season until the banquet, and we're anxiously awaiting our invitation to the football banquet. We'll be by the phone or the email waiting on that, because those are always a lot of fun. There's 4 teams in every classification that are still playing, though, including a couple of people that we know. We'll go through those matchups when we come back. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live at London's. It's the Shasteen Show, 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We're the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Builder Supply in Tullahoma is your one-stop for all the building materials you need for your next project. Their paint center has a full line of Benjamin Moore paints to brighten any room. Trust the experts, Bubba, Joe, and the gang at Builder Supply, 301 South Atlantic Street, Tullahoma.
Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs is the place to go when you're hungry for good country cooking. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Friday nights, 4 to 7:30, with Friday night trivia starting at 6:15. Breakfast is served all day, every day at Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs.
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
It is happy hour. It is steak night at London's. We've got a nice crowd here. Come on down and have a great meal. Hey, 55 to 60 and sunny on Thanksgiving Day. I can work with that.
Oh,
work
no
with
doubt.
that.
That's awesome.
Little backyard football.
Yeah, we'd like to wish a happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the community, and certainly our listening audience. And so enjoy football this weekend. Enjoy turkey and count your blessings. Name them one by one. We all got a lot to be thankful for.
Sang it, brother.
That's it, man.
All right, let's take a look at some high school football matchups. It's semifinal this Friday night. Next weekend will be state championship games. Class 1A. Greenback travels to Whitwell. Yes, Whitwell is hosting a state semifinal game. Cornersville travels to Lake County. That big matchup between undefeated Cornersville and Huntington. The Bulldogs won it 13-7. I look for Greenback and Cornersville to play for the second consecutive year for the state championship. I think Cornersville's got a great chance to win it this year. They
jumped that Huntington hurdle on the road, man. That's huge. It gives them lots of confidence going into this one.
It really is. It's huge. All right, in Class 2A, Meigs County, undefeated, will travel to Trousdale County. Boy, Trousdale County back where they used to be every year perhaps marching toward a state championship game. And Waverly goes to Peabody. Peabody eliminated my dark horse Union City. In fact, eliminated them 35-0. So I don't know who's going to win the 2A title. I look at Meigs County right now. They're undefeated, but Trousdale County, that traditional power that knows how to win state titles. In Class 3A, you've got undefeated. Undefeated Upperman. 13-0 will host Alcoa. Wow, man, you talking about an atmosphere up on the Upper Cumberland there in Baxter, Tennessee. Upperman hosting Alcoa Friday night, and the true dark horse in the whole playoff lot of all classifications, Stratford,
they can't
continues to advance.
Don't do it to me.
They beat Fairview 26-14. Jeez. Stratford will go to Covington, and Covington is 13-0. Stratford now 5-8. I wouldn't pick against Stratford right now for anything. You know what?
They've been playing possum, haven't they?
Stratford and Alcoa maybe in the state title game. In Class 4A, Greenville will travel to Maplewood. Should be interesting to see how that one matches up. Springfield is at Haywood in the other semifinal on the west side of the bracket. I don't think that matters. I believe the Greenville-Maplewood winner is going to win the state championship. Class 4A state title game will be Thursday at 3 o'clock, Floyd Stadium there at Tennessee Tech in Cookeville. Class 5A, our guy, Steve Matthews and his Knoxville Catholic Fighting Irish, they beat Joe Gaddis's Oak Ridge Wildcats last week 42-40. Knoxville Catholic won it. They will host Knoxville Central in the east bracket, and Beach will travel to Henry County in the west bracket. That is 4 teams that have been here before. I have no idea who wins this state championship, but we're certainly pulling for Steve Matthews and his Knoxville Catholic Fighting Irish.
Yeah, that Knoxville Central team, that's one of the playoff teams that Tullahoma beat in the semifinal team in '87. That's that they beat that team
back in the day.
Yep.
Their grandkids playing now.
Yep.
Class 6A, the rematch everybody hoped for, we get it. Maryville travels to Oakland. You'll remember last year, the same game, semifinals at Maryville. Field goal try, the Maryville end basically stands up out of his stance and moves around. No call. Field goal, I guess, is good. Maryville wins it. Oakland gets a chance for revenge. Now, these two teams played earlier this year. You remember Oakland went to Maryville. Maryville won that game. But now the rematch, Maryville at Oakland, that's got to be the game of the night.
Yeah,
right?
I like Oakland in that game. They got home field this time. They're probably tired of going up to East Tennessee. And big running back from Maryville that's a UT commit, junior T. Hodges, I believe is his name. Running back broke his leg in the last game, so he's out.
That's
for the rest of the playoffs. T. Hodges.
That's a big big challenge for the Rebels. And Ravenwood goes to Whitehaven. Watch Whitehaven. They sort of did what they do. They came out of this, started the playoffs 7-3, and here they are playing in the semifinals again. They've always got about 10 Division I prospects on that roster. I don't know. Should be great there in Class 6A. Quickly, the state championship games are set on the private school side, Division II. In Class A, it is Friendship Christian at Davidson Academy. That's Friday, 11 a.m. In Class AA, Division II, CPA at BGA. That is 3 o'clock on Friday. And then at 7 o'clock, the big boys play, and not literally, but Class 3A in Division II. Memphis University School and Brentwood Academy square off. Brentwood Academy has won 3 consecutive state championships in that classification. So we'll be back next week to, you'll already probably know, but to tell you who's playing for state championships and on the public side, and Kent High School football just about done.
Yeah, it is. I circled this 1-4A game, because Maplewood's beat us twice now. Greenville certainly 13-0.
Oh yeah,
they totally undefeated.
And went 15-0 last year.
15-0
so they won 28 games in a row.
Who's the last team to beat them Jokers?
Well, they lost in the state championship game 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay, so what does Maplewood have to do, Scott? You've seen them twice to make this a competitive game. Do they even have a chance? What would be the point spread on this game?
Well, I haven't seen Greenville.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a detriment there. But I do know that they certainly dominate in East Tennessee. They go up against teams in other classifications and they beat them. Maplewood has to play defense like they played Friday night. They have to avoid penalties and turnovers like they did Friday night. But they've got to play better on offense. They've got to get the ball to number 2, Kendrell Scurry. Got to get the ball in his hands. And, they're going to have to play better on the offensive line. Tullahoma's defense was awesome.
Yeah, they were.
It's going to be in the hands of Bobo Hodges, though. Look, Greenville has the all-state quarterback, Kane Ballard, and Bobo Hodges may be the second-best quarterback in the state in Class 4A. So it's a quarterback-driven game. Greenville's probably got the better football team. Maplewood's probably got the better athletes, probably got more college players on that team. I think it'd be a great matchup. I'm looking forward to watching. Well, keep watching. It's the semifinals. Hopefully, somebody will have it on somewhere.
Yeah, and, that's what I was trying to draw out of you. Maplewood's offense has to play better. I overstated that his rushing yards, Bobo Hodges, he only had 15 rushing yards, 76 total yards. In that game against Tullahoma. He's got to play much better. But one thing I saw in that game, and we saw it the whole game being upstairs in the press box, was really the stellar job that the defensive backs for the Tullahoma Wildcats. Tip pass after tip pass, blanket coverage. What a great job in the secondary. That's really what kept Tullahoma in the game. They shut the run down first and then just clamped down that secondary. And how many contested balls that they tipped away at the last second? Seemed like 8 or 10. But their receivers got very frustrated. They started breaking off routes a little bit. They gave up on plays, on scramble plays. They got to come back to the ball, but they got to play much better to have a shot at against Greenville. For sure.
And by the way, failed to mention, congratulations to senior Race Marin. He was named the Giles Dunn Diamond Company Player of the Game. Race had a great game in the defensive backfield, punted well, did what he was supposed to do on offense. Would have been great to see him get some more opportunities. As I talk about getting the ball in more guys' hands, I understand that our quarterbacks, they didn't have time to breathe back there. Maplewood's defensive line is so good.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to play like that against Greenville to win. Yeah. Because Kane Ballard, Greenville offense, he's a runner, he's a passer, he's Bobo Hodges.
Yeah. And we talked, Race, he intercepted a pass in that game. That's the 18th on the year, I believe, for the Wildcats. But, what do you do? And that was my concern coming in this game is I asked you, 3 weeks ago when they beat us the first time, I said, man, what do you draw up to beat this defense? How do you score on such a good defense? And, I don't know. You can't play armchair quarterback. Everybody's got the right answers, but when you get down there in the trenches and you're calling the game and you're seeing the physicality and the athleticism and the flying around of that defense, that is a big time defense from Maplewood, no doubt about it.
And they hit.
Oh, they clamp down their sudden hitters, they're impact hitters, and they will lay you out. Sometimes unnecessarily roughness-wise, which we saw one bad play, but relatively other than that, it was a pretty clean game. Not a whole lot of mouthing on going between the two teams. Just a great, pure defensive battle right there, no doubt about it.
I'm a little surprised, and it is what it is, but I'm a little surprised that the referees allow their defenders to pick guys up and slam them to the turf.
Yeah.
I would think in high school, especially with all the concerns about player safety, that on the high school level, you would not allow referees to pick guys up. Our referees would not allow defenders to pick guys up and slam them to the ground. That's the only qualm I have with Maplewood. That seems a little dirty to me.
Yeah, well, that's the Ndamukong Suh play that the Nebraska defensive tackle made famous, and also with the Detroit Lions. I think he was with them now, Miami, and now the Rams, but moved around a lot. And yeah, just that body slam play. And I look for this targeting rule to somehow come into the high school ranks. I mean, you see some vicious hits coming across the middle, head-to-head contact, helmet to helmet. It's not called at the high school level. And to me, we need to be protecting our younger folks more so than the college and the pro guys.
Absolutely.
Paid, man. They don't get all these benefits. 10 tickets a game per family or whatever, and all these bowl benefits and rings and headsets and all these watches and all these prizes and all this.
High school players don't get all that?
No, man.
Yeah. How are we protecting college players and professional players more than we're protecting high school players? I think that's something we've got to look at. College football is something we like to look at, and we will on the other side of the break. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month. What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
Get the gig. Get the world's fastest internet with LightTube. That's 1 gig down, 1 gig up internet speeds for only $89.95 per month. Call LightTube today to upgrade and get the gig. Call us at 455-4515 to learn more. LightTube. Local people, local service.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
The key ingredient to being a talk show host is to be ready when the commercials are over.
Yeah.
But we were adjusting equipment on set here. We're at London's. It's Monday night. It's happy hour. It's steak night. It's burger night. It's beer night. It's a great night at London. So the disappointing, defeated trifecta for me in my football weekend. Phase 2 came on Saturday as I don't know if it's Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde that took the field in Neyland Stadium on Saturday, but I know it wasn't the Tennessee team we saw against Kentucky or South Carolina or Auburn. It was the Tennessee team we saw against Charlotte and Florida and Alabama. Ken, they didn't have a clue.
No, just, early dominance by the Missouri Tigers. First quarter, 0 first downs. 3 possessions, 3 first downs. They run, I think, 9 plays for negative 17 yards in the first quarter. Really, you got to just credit Missouri. I mean, they played very physical on defense. Tennessee's offensive line just caved in. And I'm going to tell you, Terry Beckner Jr., he's finally starting to fulfill his promise. Big defensive tackle for the Missouri Tigers. He was all over Guarantano and Keller Christ. He was a menace. That guy was the #1 player in high school coming out of the state of Missouri several years back. Missouri won a big recruiting battle. He's starting to fulfill his promise and will be a top NFL draft pick along with a certain quarterback from Missouri.
I think we saw why Jarrett Guarantano, not that we haven't seen it all year, but I think we saw especially why Jarrett Guarantano is the quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers and Keller Christ is not. I'm sure Christ is really smart. He's a Stanford graduate, and he's a talented football player, but he just doesn't have that zing on his passes that Jarrett Garantano has, and obviously not working with the full first team a lot in practice. Him and Marquez Callaway obviously weren't on the same page. That play at the end of the first half, I thought that was a big turning point. Pick six. Tennessee was trying to look like they were driving down the field. Callaway was going to score if Chris throws it to him, but instead Chris thinks it's a comeback route and it's picked off. Pick six. That's a 14-point swing. That's tough to overcome in SEC game.
Yeah, he was fantastic on the first drive. A beautiful over-the-shoulder pass to Jawan Jennings downfield for a big game. Looked very, very sharp that first series, but Missouri adjusted. They brought the heat. They shut that running game for Tennessee down. Actually, the Missouri Tigers, and this is the telling stat of the game to me, the Missouri Tigers had more fumble return yards and interception yards, return yards combined than Tennessee had rushing in the game. And you're just not going to win SEC football games in this conference, with those kind of statistics. You got to run the ball and you got to stop the run. I think Missouri had like 245 yards rushing in the game, and then you got a first-round quarterback throwing darts and picking on Tennessee's young secondary, and the guy made some pro passes Saturday.
So do we dare say it that you've got to give Derek Dooley credit because that Missouri offense was basically unstoppable?
Oh, it was, and some goofball wrote a column on TN Sports, that this was Derek Dooley's revenge, and I saw that Dan Walken, who doesn't like Tennessee because they didn't hire Greg Schiano, he pops off on Tennessee fans every time he gets a chance. But I saw the Tennessee fans giving it back to him, along with Vol Colonel and some other prominent Tennessee fans. But that's the second straight year that Missouri has beaten Tennessee 50-17, and when you look at the overall, you look at the program, I think Tennessee's got a better coach than Derek Dooley and Bush Jones and Jeremy Pruitt. But how much do you measure the gains that they're making? If Tennessee does not win against Vanderbilt, we'll look at that game in the last segment. But 5-6, if they lose that game, they'll be 2-6 in the conference, 5-7 overall. They finished 4-8 last year. That would just be a one-game jump. Scott, I don't know, man. Just like you said, it's all about the Jimmies and Joes. They've got to put together 3 recruiting cycles. Jeremy Pruitt's getting some really good players to visit Knoxville. He just got to finish the deal with them in December.
Well, he does have to finish the deal with them. And if they finish 5-7, 2-6 in the conference, the way I look at it is that's 2 games better than last year, because it's all about in the SEC and to have beaten a couple of ranked teams, one of them on the road. I'll take it. We'll just move on and let's start signing players. Vanderbilt beats Ole Miss, so Vanderbilt and Tennessee play for the opportunity to go to a bowl. How do we'll pick that one, I guess, at the end of the show.
Talking about we can look at some of the past games before we look future next segment, but really that 37-29 win was a good win for Vanderbilt. And see, Tennessee they had a mulligan. Okay, I know that Jeremy Pruitt, we said that last week, he wanted to win every game. Vanderbilt did not. They had to beat Ole Miss at home and Tennessee. So this game Saturday sets up to be very big, because the winner of this game between Tennessee at Vanderbilt is actually going to be in a bowl game. And so I just late this afternoon when I got home, I looked up at the bowl projections just to see what the experts were thinking, and I got 6 models, and so 6 of the predictors picked 4 of them picked Tennessee to go to a bowl game and 2 to Vanderbilt. Okay, so these are possible destinations. Let me throw these out real quick and tell me if Tennessee wins, where you would like to see the Tennessee Vols go, because there's a couple of intriguing matchups here. One projection has Pitt Panthers at Vandy. or Pitt and Vandy playing in the Music City Bowl. Now, Pitt, I think, is going to play for the ACC championship against Clemson because they won their division. So that would be an interesting opponent if that happened. The Belk Bowl, Georgia Tech versus Tennessee.
No, I don't want to play Georgia Tech again.
Oh, man, beware of the cut blocks,
the
man.
cut blockers.
Them cut blockers.
You got a little
taste
taste of them
brutal.
Saturday.
Now, Tennessee opened up with them, was it last year, and they won a close game? All right, so Jerry Palm, I know you've heard of him. He's a college football expert. He picks Pitt and Vandy in the Belk Bowl. That's in Charlotte. The last three indicators show Tennessee. Now, these were interesting matchups. Texas Bowl, Tennessee against Iowa State. That would be a good matchup right there. Iowa State a good team.
Entered Saturday ranked 16th in the nation.
Yeah, that would be a tough matchup.
Doesn't that tell you how bad the Big 12 is, that Iowa State, the 16th ranked team in the nation, would be projected to play against a 6-6 Tennessee team?
Yeah, Texas Bowl. How about this one? You mentioned this last week. You said Tennessee was going to the Liberty Bowl. Texas Tech versus Tennessee in the Liberty Bowl. Now, you talk about lots of points potential in that one. You know, Texas Tech can bring it up.
They're not Mike Leach's Texas Tech anymore, though.
And so as I'm looking at this, these last three indicators show Tennessee against a Big 12 team. They score lots of points but play no defense. Another Liberty Bowl projection for Tennessee, Oklahoma State versus Tennessee. That would be a
Cowboys have got a lot of athletes.
They can light it up. In Mike Gundy, you know, he was courted by one former athletic director at Tennessee, John Curry, and he interviewed, I think, for the Tennessee job.
Well, I don't care if Tennessee plays in the Tobacco Bowl down in Pulaski. You know, just get to a bowl game so you can get those 15 more practices.
Yeah, that's critical, man.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Quickly, other games over the weekend, you know, the biggest story, the most fun game I saw was Ohio State and Maryland. Just up and down. Of course, the Buckeyes win it at the end like they seem to do so often. But I've never watched a college football game ever, where the camera was on the head coach more than it was on the field.
Oh, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, how much attention that guy gets on.
And I mean, he looked like his brain was going to explode the whole game.
Yeah, I told you about that. I said, is there another college football coach watching that wears his emotions on his sleeves? I mean, unlike any I've ever seen, especially when he's losing or, you know, he just keeps grabbing and rubbing his hair, man, when they fall behind. But 52-51, I'm not sure. You know, I know that Maryland was at home. I just don't like going for them 2-point conversions in them situations. Man, take it to overtime. You're at home. You got the other team on the ropes. Play the overtime, man. I mean,
you got the other team on the ropes. That's the key.
I guess.
I like the two.
Yeah.
Now, does it work a lot? What are the statistics say about going for two against kicking, and then how do those teams that could have gone for 2 and 1 eventually do an overtime? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like going for it to end the game.
So let me ask you this, and this is an interesting dynamic.
You play to end the game.
You play to end the game, but so they win 52-51. Speaking of the Ohio State Buckeyes, I believe they come into the college football playoff poll 10 coming in this week. They've only lost one game, but they gave up 49 points at Purdue, 49-20. They host Michigan this week, who's ranked number 4. If they beat Michigan and become Big Ten champions, do you see any scenario that puts them in the top 4, puts them in the playoffs?
Considering what we know about the committee,
the Purdue Albatross.
Keep in mind that the committee is just a group of people, and it's not the old BCS. It's not a point system. They can pick whoever they want.
Yeah.
Do I see a scenario where Ohio State beats Michigan and goes to the playoff? Absolutely. Do I think they should? No. But do I see a scenario? Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's Ohio State.
Yeah, it's a 13-person panel, so you're right. Them guys can come out. And, of course, they got the great trumpeter, Kirk Herbstreit, you know, that fell out of his chair last year when they didn't get in. So that'll be interesting. Let's look at a couple other games from last week. It's Cupcake Saturday before we go breaking our next segment here in a minute or two. I'm just going to recap the scores real quick. Georgia 66, UMass 27. Florida blew out Idaho 63-10. Kentucky, one of the closer games, 34-23 over MTSU. Mississippi State blew out poor Arkansas 52-6. That Mississippi State team, really a good team.
Arkansas boots a couple of starting defensive backs off the team after the game. they were taking pictures with the Mississippi State cheerleaders before the game.
Yeah, how about
Coach
that?
learned about that. I don't think he liked it.
He wasn't too happy, was he? Chad Morris didn't like those theatrics. Auburn beats Liberty 53-0, tuning up for the Iron Bowl. Texas A&M 41, UAB 20. South Carolina 49-9 over Chattanooga. LSU 42-10 over Rice. And Alabama in a 10-10 tie with the Citadel at halftime. That had to have got your curiosity up, your antenna up. You was watched with a little curiosity in that third quarter, I'm sure.
Didn't watch a play.
Didn't watch a play. I tell you what, Citadel game, they came out, they played real physical ball, had a couple strips from their DBs on Alabama's wide receivers. They played hard, man, and very spunky, and actually had the lead in the third quarter on the first drive on the first drive they had after an Alabama fumble. And made the field goal, but it got called for an illegal procedure at 13-10, and then it was Alabama after that.
I told you what I was doing Saturday morning. I was on that tractor getting them leaves, son.
That's it.
It was 60 degrees.
Well,
pretty
nice,
day.
Man. Yeah.
You slept till 10:57.
No, I couldn't do it, man. I just my biological clock went off at about 5:30.
All right, we will flip the page. Talk about games coming up this week. College football is winding down. The regular season almost over. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and live downtown at London's. This is the Shasteen Show, 93.9 The Duck.
Trucks, and more trucks. Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have your next truck. From the Ford F-Series, the Ram, Chevrolet, or the GMC, then look no further than the Russell Barnett family. With over 350 new and pre-owned trucks to choose from, now is the time to buy. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, Ford of Winchester, and Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma, or visit us on the web at russellbarnett.com. Why buy anywhere else?
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to London's as we wind our way to the finish line on this edition of The Shasteen Show. You can watch the replay on LightTube Channel 23 beginning Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Speaking of Jekyll and Hyde, Tennessee Titans.
Oh,
a little bit of that going.
Man, Jekyll and Hyde. You blow out you beat the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning world champions. You beat the AFC champion New England Patriots just last week, and you get totally dismantled by the Horseshoe Helmets, the Indianapolis Colts, 38-10. Man, what in the world happened?
Andrew Luck. Titans have never beaten Andrew Luck. They're now 0-10 against Andrew Luck.
That's incredible.
It was incredible. And I was on the road. I didn't watch it play, but listen to some of it. And
well, the big stat in that game. Look, you play. It's just like Peyton Manning. You play against Peyton Manning and you don't sack him and you don't pressure him, he is going to carve you like a surgeon. And that's the same thing with Andrew Luck. The Tennessee Titans, 0 sacks. 0 sacks in that game. You don't pressure him, you're done.
They only had one pressure. They only touched Andrew Luck one time.
Didn't even breathe on him. I think that's the telling stat in the game right there, man. No doubt about it.
So tonight, though, the big matchup, Kansas City and the Rams in L.A. had to move that game from Mexico City, where the field looked like Maplewoods Field. If you wonder what Maplewoods Field looked like, and you saw any video of what the field in Mexico City looked like, the reason they had to move this game to L.A., that's what it looked like.
There you go.
Patriots lead the East. Steelers are looking great.
Well, Steelers, let's talk. They were up losing 16-0 at Jacksonville into the second half and win that game 20-16. That's a big loss. Jaguars 3-7. X them out, they're gone. No playoffs this year for the Jaguars. They were in the AFC Championship last year.
I believe the Texans and the Titans match up next week.
Yeah, next Monday night. Texas and Titans. I think this is a must-win for the Tennessee Titans to make the playoffs. A must-win. I'm not peeling back on that. The Texans are 7-3. They beat the Redskins at RFK. I call it old RFK. I don't know what it's called now, but 23-21. Deshaun Watson playing as good football at quarterback position as anybody in the NFL in his second season. The guy's great player. They're 7-3. The Titans are tied with the Colts at 5-5. The Jaguars 3-7. You can't lose. This is a division game. This is a must game. You lose this one with four games left, you'll be 3 games behind. It's over.
In the wild card race, the Chargers lead the way.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Ravens, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Colts, and the Titans all with 5-5 records.
Too many teams. And they already lose the tiebreaker to the Colts right now.
And in the NFC East, suddenly your Cowboys have new life. They get a win yesterday. They're 5-5. Redskins are 6-4. They play Thursday. Thanksgiving Day treat there. Redskins lost their quarterback, Alex Smith, for the year.
Yeah, they did.
Cowboys suddenly got life.
Yeah, let's talk about that for just a second. Is it Cowboys-Redskins on Turkey Day?
Yes.
Oh, man, that's awesome. No better rivalry. Grew up in the 70s watching that. I watched 1974, Clint Logley come in for Roger Staubach and throw 2 touchdown passes in the last, I think, 2 or 3 minutes of that game. The Cowboys beat the Redskins 24-23. Man, that was 46 years ago. I still remember that, one of the greatest comebacks in Cowboys history. But you talked about Alex Smith going down, broken legs, shattered leg. 33 years to the day yesterday that Joe Theismann on Monday Night Football gets his leg broke. Compound fracture by Lawrence Taylor. I saw that game on TV too when it happened.
Remember that well.
Terrible. Joe Theismann.
Still one of the most gruesome sports injuries ever.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. It was gruesome.
The Bears beat the Vikings yesterday. The Bears lead the NFC North Division at 7-3. The Chicago Bears. New coach, kind of turn that thing around. And the Saints just keep rolling.
Talk about the Saints. You got 2 teams everybody's going to talk about for the Super Bowl right now. My money's on the New Orleans Saints.
Look,
right now, they're playing better than everybody, man.
Odds are 100%, I believe. No, they're not 100%. Patriots beat that. But almost never does the team with the best record and the number 1 seed go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and the Saints already beat the Rams once. I think they had a big player out of that game, and they got romped. So they'll have revenge on their mind if they play again. But, man, I tell you what, you look at the drive chart for the New Orleans Saints, I mean, they just totally clipped the wings on the Eagles yesterday, and it wasn't even close, man. They blew them out of the stadium.
Well, and the Saints are a team that we can all pull for. They have a Alabama running back. They have a Tennessee running back. Drew Brees is such an easy guy to like. They're in the South. Go Saints!
Yeah, that's going to be.
I remember when they were.
Man.
I remember when they were the Aints.
Yeah, let's pick our
Everybody
games
wore
now, man.
paper
the Aints,
bags over their head.
They're gone now, man.
I mean, Archie Manning, dude. They didn't have a winning record for 20 years.
You got that right. Who's wearing the paper bags now? Is it the Raiders?
I think the Raiders
or the Cardinals.
I think the Raiders got a win yesterday.
Yeah,
they're probably wearing those out in Arizona.
Yeah, probably wearing them in Arizona. All right, let's pick some rivalry games. We've got 5 minutes to go.
Let's do
You
it.
can throw point spreads out of these rivalry games. It doesn't matter. Anything can happen. So let's start off with the Egg Bowl. This one's on Thanksgiving night. Mississippi State at Ole Miss. This game, the Mississippi State quarterback broke his ankle, I think, last year. Nick Fitzgerald, he's back, and he wants revenge.
Yeah, and he's really good. And the Bulldogs are playing well. And the Rebels are coming off a loss to Vanderbilt. This is everything for Ole Miss. This is their bowl game. They're going to treat it like a bowl game. You know, they're going to have 2 or 3 days in the hotel, and it's all they've got. But it doesn't matter. They're just not as good as Mississippi State. The Bulldogs are going to win.
I agree. I got the Bulldogs as well. The Missouri Tigers at Arkansas, probably the worst team in the conference, Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, Arkansas is terrible. Not the best week to kick a couple of your defensive backs off when you're going against one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country. I like Missouri to just roll. Arkansas's done. They just want to go home.
2 for 2. I've got the Missouri Tigers as well. This intriguing matchup, the Florida Gators at the Florida State Seminoles.
Well, Florida State's playing a little better, but Florida's been really good. They're really starting to figure it out under Dan Mullen. Unfortunately for Tennessee, Florida, you can just pencil it in. I mean, for the next 10 years, ever how long Dan Mullen's there, they're going to be good. They're going to be tough. They're going to beat the Seminoles.
I like the Gators as well. Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, the cut blockers, the chop blockers at the Georgia Bulldogs.
So does everybody that plays a triple option offense, are they the chop blockers and the cut blockers?
Yes, Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, and Citadel.
And Army, and
Army.
As if that's a bad thing.
Well, it should be illegal, actually. I mean, that's a dangerous block, man.
It's often a winning formula.
It is. It's tough
but
to
it's
handle,
not going to be a winning formula for the Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech this weekend, because Georgia is just too good.
Yeah, Georgia put up 66 on UMass. They'll be in the 40s against Georgia Tech ahead of that big SEC championship game. The Iron Bowl, the Auburn Tigers at the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama.
5 years since the kick six play. Over and under on Gary Danielson references to the kick six is 4. Over or under? 4 times.
I'm going to say we're 5 years out. That's an anniversary for Gary. At the same time, he's probably sort of losing the memory of it. I'm going to say the 4. Let's go under.
All right, I'm going over on that one for the record. That's good.
Now, you said Gary Danielson. Now, that means if CBS shows a highlight from that game, that doesn't count. You said a Gary Danielson reference.
Yeah, Gary Danielson references. I'm going to say over. All right. We'll save UT and Vandy for last. South Carolina at Clemson. South Carolina got a chance?
No.
I agree. Clemson all the way. Kentucky at Louisville. Bobby Petrino fired.
Yeah, Louisville's done. Kentucky will take out their frustrations on the Cardinals.
All right, these are going to be the 2 tightly contested games, I think, along with the Iron Bowl. LSU at Texas A&M. 2 minutes.
Well, Texas A&M, they've had a good year under Jimbo. LSU's, they got some disappointment. Is this in College Station?
Yes.
I'm going to have to say Texas A&M upsets LSU.
Well, I've been on the A&M bandwagon all year and Jimbo Fisher, but I'm going to go with Ed Orgeron and the LSU Tigers to pull out a close game here, this one. All right, this one's for a bowl game. 5-6 UT at 5-6 Vandy. Vandy fans claim on the message boards they're not selling their tickets to Tennessee fans this year. I don't buy it. I think that stadium's going to be clad in orange in Nashville Saturday.
Vanderbilt wins for the 5th time in 7 years, the 3rd straight win for the Vanderbilt Commodores.
I think Tennessee's going to pull it out. I picked them 7-5 before the season. They can still go 6-6. I said they would sweep October. They're going to go 3-1 and beat Vanderbilt and go bowling and knock Vandy out of the bowl season.
I picked 6-6.
You did, man.
I'll take my 5-7. Again, I'm going to focus on that 2-6 in the SEC. Great Monday Night Football game. Come on down to London's and watch the Chiefs and the Rams. That's going to do it for us tonight. For the crew back at the studio, for Smash and Ken, I'm Scott. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.